Hey everyone, it's Laurie from Cook Scrub Craft, and today I've got more Christmas cards to share with you. So I am playing along with the February 2024 sheetload of cards from Call Me Crafty Al. If you go to her YouTube channel, she's got an introduction video that gives you some nice tips and tricks and shows the cards that she's created, and then there's a link where you can download a PDF version of the whole sheet load, your sketch and supply list. So it tells you everything that you're going to need in order to make 8 cards this month. I did make 8 cards actually, but instead of following the directions to cut out of 6x6 pattern papers, 8.5 by 11 cardstocks, I followed the directions to just making a single card, because that way I could use a 6x6 paper pad I did have from Pink Fresh. I got that as part of my February haul. And then I could use just smaller scraps of colored cardstock. And it went a lot easier this month. Remember, if you watched my video from last month, I cut things wrong and I ended up with less cards than I thought. And I don't know. And it was really hard to find all of the supplies that I needed because I didn't have a whole lot of Christmas pattern papers or full-size sheets of cardstock. So I do prefer following the directions for a single card layout, and that's what I'm making right now. I'm only going to show you how I made 1 card, but at the end of this video, I will show you all 8 cards. And I'm using as my base some note cards that I think I got from last year's Paper Issues warehouse box when they were running that sale over the summer. And they are American crafts. They've got stuff on them already, but I was like, you know what? It would be really easy to cover up the images on the front of these cards. The inside of the cards are blank, so I could put in whatever sentiment I want on the inside and turn these regular note cards into Christmas cards. So that's what I'm doing. So the one I'm showing you here, it's got a white background, and I'm just going to use that red cardstock to cover up the typewriter. And no one's going to know unless they receive this card and they try to peel off what I've stuck down. And hopefully they don't do that. So that's just a way to make things a little bit easier if, again, like me, you don't always have a full supply of white cardstock that you can use to create your card bases. And I liked about this is that this design, it's a vertical card design, so it's not horizontal. So it didn't really matter that these note cards had images that made them open horizontally. If I'm covering them up, I can make them be whatever orientation that I want. So like I said, I'm using a Pink Fresh 6x6 paper pad. The colored cardstock, the red and green, I actually have organized my scrap cardstocks into bags and organized them by color. So I just grabbed my green and red scrap bags, and I just started cutting colored cardstock. Luckily, I did have the right size of these colors in that cardstock, so it was a great way to use up items from my stash. What I do need is a new blade for my Fiskars cutter, because I was using it to cut my kids. We made homemade Valentine's cards this year, and we made them out of, we recycled cereal boxes to make them. And so I was using my Fiskars cutter to cut through essentially cardboard, and I think I definitely dulled the blade. So I was not getting some nice fresh neat cuts with this paper here. So that was a little disappointing. I made it work. I've had that problem before, so I just need to order some new blades for my cutter. What else can I say? For the sentiment on the front of the card, it's sort of like a half circle in the sketch that's shown. I tried to find circular elements in the Pink Fresh wood accents that I had, or on the cut apart sheet. I had a 12 by 12 cut apart sheet, and is also actually mimicked in the 6x6 paper pad as well. So I did some fussy cutting for things. I popped things up with foam dots. So each card has a different type of sentiment. Maybe it says something with words, maybe it's flat, maybe it's popped up, maybe it's one of those wood accents. Everything is different, and I really like that you can kind of play around with that a little bit and do your own thing. So for this one, I'm actually cutting out a tag from that 12 by 12 cut apart sheet, and I'm just going to end up, you'll see, I'm going to end up just kind of putting it down flat. But I just liked the way that the tag kind of looked. It wasn't... The sentiment goes horizontally, so I had originally thought maybe I'm not using the tag for this one. maybe I'm using that tree. I end up using the tag on another one. I guess I thought it was this one, but perhaps it's not. But some of the pieces are going to be smaller like that, and they're going to be almost the same width as that pattern paper in the center. So that's why for this one, I thought it made a little more sense to do a little bit of overlapping here and maybe popping things up. So you're going to see the rest of the cards here in just a second. Okay, so here are the cards that I made. You saw me make the first one, which I think was this one. This is popped up on some foam dots or some foam squares. These two were the first ones that I made. So this one has a little tag. This one is just flat. This one's popped up, but it's using these little houses on this strip, but then I changed up the pattern papers that were here. And I love this because this is just white, so I could use really anything. So I've got these two. I'll add a sentiment on the inside, and I have a handmade stamp that I'm going to put on the back, just in case you were wondering about anything like that. The next two I did were these with this gold foil polka dot. So this one I fussy cut out of the pattern paper and popped up on those foam squares. This one I used one of the embellishment pieces from that wood accent sticker sheet. Okay. So that's definitely a little popped up. I hope it fits in the envelope. But same kind of thing, using circular elements or not, popping them up or not. And then I used these cards that had this sort of light blue background, which was actually really perfect because there is some light blue in this Pink Fresh collection. So I used a circle punch to punch this out of pattern paper, and I popped it up on the foam squares to go right across. I didn't put a pattern paper on this one because this strip is actually a little bit smaller than both of these. But I wanted to use it because it was the same red as this background cardstock. So I figured I don't really need a pattern paper there. I can just put the embellishment down and it's done. But I did add pattern paper to this one. And this one, I think I also used a hole punch or a circle punch to punch that out, and then I popped it up on some foam squares. And then I have these pink cards, and thank goodness that Pink Fresh has a pink color scheme in this Christmas collection. So this one I used with one of the wood accents from the Pink Fresh collection, and again, it's blank on the inside, pink on the back side, but it's kind of nice. It's non-traditional, but I like that. And then this one I did, instead of using the solid color as the background, I used a pattern and then brought the solids up here where the patterns would have been. So there's a little bit of a pattern underneath here. This was from the cut apart page. I just cut it apart, popped it up on some foam squares, and that's it. So you can see with just these 8 cards, there's a lot of variety and a lot of different ways that you could interpret that sketch and make it your own. And again, I was using the instructions for making one card from her. You can get this when you go to the Sheetload of Cards YouTube channel, but I was using the instructions to just make one single card since I was using a bunch of scraps and my Pink Fresh paper pad and those embellishments. So I do still have these 2 cards from that collection. They've got a yellow background. This would be really easy to cover up. And I think I might still be able to use this because this sort of matches this color in the collection. So that's on some of the pattern papers. But I thought, you know what? I think the 8 cards with this design are good. And then I'll save these 2 for whatever March brings, whatever sketch March brings. And I'll again do just the instructions for the single card, because I think that's so much easier, especially when you're using scraps like I am. So those are my 8 cards for this month. I think now I have, 16? I have more Christmas cards now for 2024 than I did at this point last year, so that's a plus. So thanks so much for watching this process video, and I hope that you make some Christmas cards or whatever cards you want to make using this really cool Sheetload of Cards sketch. Thanks for watching. Bye!